the purpose of life is whoever's sitting across from me. I just want to love them more than anything else in the world, and just be able to add value and over deliver.
I'm honored to introduce Scott Griswold, a remarkable leader who has seamlessly combined his business acumen with his passion for helping people achieve their true potential. While Scott started in the corporate world, he achieved tremendous success at an early age as a serial entrepreneur and then a professional coach. After exiting his business, gifting ownership to his employees, Scott put his energy into starting Unbreakable Threads, a nonprofit dedicated to rescuing children from human trafficking and providing support to underserved communities globally. Through this endeavor, he became more attuned to the needs of specific communities and connected with other people doing similar things. This led to his current project, Acres Club, an impact investment fund. Scott is such a gracious guy. His remarkable journey, heart for human potential, and positive outlook are absolutely inspiring. Welcome to my conversation with Scott Griswold.
And I jumped off the side of the Zambezi River Gorge. And you fall 400 feet just when you think you're about to die. Like that moment of, oh my God, is it going to catch me? This rope catches you and swings you out over the Zambezi River, whitewater rafting down the Zambezi River. Oh my God, I mean, you name it, man. I love
you got videos of all that too, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
No, that's awesome, Scott. You're an awesome guy. I'm so grateful that we have this time together. We're getting to know each other a little bit more. But I got to ask you the one big question I want to know. Did you actually go in and rescue these children who were being trafficked? Was that you? Did you go in with all the SWAT gear, all that kind of stuff? What was that like?
I wish I had the opportunity to do that. I can't say that I personally was the one that went in, risked my life for another in that moment. And I have so much respect, love, and adoration and admiration for our brave operators who go in and do these types of operations. And I know many of them personally. I've trained with some, done different operations like this. My role in this was very minuscule. I was part of an incredible team at a Tony Robbins Business Mastery event where we raised $85,000. It was a project under a nonprofit that I had helped launch at a previous Business Mastery event with Tony Robbins. And I partnered with one of our platinum partners who runs an orphanage in the Congo. It's UN protected, called Beluarte. Phenomenal organization. Her name is Michelle Fernandez, and she's a beautiful soul. And we aligned with another individual who wants to remain anonymous, who put the team together, who did all of the operational intelligence and research to actually send in these brave operators in the middle of the night, just like the movie Sound of Freedom, not affiliated with them, but just like the movie Sound of Freedom. They went into the camp, they rescued these kids out of human trafficking, sex trafficking, had never seen motorcycles, never seen vehicles, they'd never seen a building. And I got to personally witness the footage of them live, getting out of the vans, arriving at the orphanage. It was an extremely emotional moment. And it was absolutely incredible how this was carried out. Because what people don't understand is in the Congo, for example, the rebel forces go in and they kill the parents. Then you take these children to a camp. They will allow you to buy that child for $300 to $500. And so they sell these children. And then when the folks who purchase the child come in to rescue them, they will actually kill those rescuers on the way out and just repeat the cycle. It's a horrible operation. Man, that's crazy. And most people have no clue that this happens. And we've partnered with some amazing folks. Another gentleman by the name of Ohm from Marisi. We've raised millions of dollars for this gentleman at Tony Robbins Business Mastery events, and he's optimized it $500. Targets and identifies the child and allows the rescue operation to take place. And then he and his team go and take down the entire kingpin of that organization. So this is something that's near and dear to my heart, and I don't think people understand the gravity of how big this is in the world today.
Yeah, no, I don't think even those of us who are attuned to it have any idea how big it is. It always seems that there always seems to be more and more that's hidden in the shadows of the world right now. Now, have you had a chance to hear any of the stories of the people who were rescued, these children?
because of my beautiful relationship with Om, for example, I get to hear from him in public settings and in private settings, many of the ladies' stories. He specifically focuses on a lot of young ladies who have been victimized through sex trafficking. He's got tremendous footage and documentation of these young ladies, the aftercare and what been able to become as a result of their rescue.
Scott, this is one of many things that you've done. I know that this is just one that's it's sensational in the sense of what you're doing because it's incredibly visceral. To imagine the experience that they were having before the actual rescue, and then the life thereafter of freedom. But at the same time, you've been involved in a lot of different things. You're constantly helping people, and in your business career, you've had a lot of success building businesses and building up people. So I want to know more about that. You started out in HR, and was this a chicken or the egg thing? Did you come into it? Were you like, I know people, I get people, I'm going to do this? Or were you like, I'm intrigued by this and I want to learn more and dive into that world?
That's an amazing question. Thank you for the honor of leading me in that way, Matt. It's incredible to me because I started out very poor. I mean, I grew up in a trailer park here in America, and I was very blessed to be American poor, as they say. And I had incredible parents. I love them and honor them and thank them dearly. My dad was a truck driver who just worked as hard as he could to provide for us. My mom, as I said, she was an alcoholic, and I'll call her a professional alcoholic. It was one of those things where I wouldn't have had it any other way because it prepared me for life. I was an only child, and aborted two children before me. I pretty much raised myself because they were gone quite often. And the molestation, the abuse, the trauma that goes with that, I pre-frame my answer with that because I had to figure out life. I believe that in life, yes, the axiom of you're a product of your environment is true. But if you don't want to become a product of that environment, you simply have to change your environment. And I realized that that was what I needed to do. I had to observe what I didn't want and make opposite choices. So I just started reading books. I started studying. I started doing everything that I could to change my environment. So I graduated high school with a 5.3 GPA out of 4.0, attended all the honors classes, and then just started reading books like crazy. I knew that proximity is power, as Tony Robbins says. So I wanted to have proximity to these incredible minds, the Dale Carnegies, the Napoleon Hills, the ones that have shaped all of our lives, I believe, if we've read those books. And that set me up for college. So I just wanted to help people. I wanted to end suffering. And I went to school to be a doctor, and I did 4 years of undergrad in 2 years. And I was set, Matt. And I saw tragically this lady get hit by a car while she was riding her bicycle, and it
Unreal.
happened right in front of me. And as I was there experiencing that trauma, I realized that I was not courageous soul that was going to be there firsthand to heal these people in the trauma centers of the world. And I thought about that for a moment. I'm like, what if this were a child? And I knew I couldn't handle that. And so I said,
Mhm.
okay, well, what's another way that I can heal people? And I knew that I was able to heal myself through the emotional and spiritual trauma by just simply doing the inner work and the deep work. I said, I can coach people. And so as I got into HR and I started to see the inner workings of businesses, and I was able to realize the true value of human capital, that's when I quickly transitioned into insurance fraud investigation and really becoming an advocate for those who don't have a voice. And I saw a ton of injustice with senior citizens mainly, especially the marginalized senior citizens of America who are low income, inner city. And as I observed that pattern, we were having our first child, and I needed to make more money. Frankly, I became the only income provider for our family, and I've been coaching people for 6 years pro bono. Matt, I didn't know you could charge for this kind of thing. I didn't even know it was an industry. I figured if I wasn't running
Yeah.
big events, you can't charge. So I joined Amway, and I did all the different multi-level opportunities out there at that time. And during my time of observing why our senior citizens in low income communities marginalized so much, I realized the biggest impact was life insurance. And I
Mm.
said, okay, well, I started to do the research. I started to ask the questions when I was speaking to these folks who are dealing with these unfortunate circumstances. And I realized that if the life insurance doesn't pay out in those communities, sadly, people will compromise their own values to get their needs met. People will go do things that they would otherwise never do: cheat, steal, kill, destroy. in order to make sure that the matriarch or the patriarch of that community gets to die with the dignity
Yeah.
that they deserve.
Really quick on that. So are they not paying out that life insurance because the folks who are there just don't have the power to be able to come and fight for whatever they know is rightfully theirs?
It's it's this and that. Truly it is. There's so many different variables that go into it. And over the last 13 years of having a company in that space, I've seen everything that you could possibly imagine as to why these products weren't being paid off and paid out on for our clients. And so I wouldn't say that it's bad insurance companies. I don't think that that's the case at all.
Mhm.
I think it's one, the client is not educated on what they're getting into primarily. And two, the pattern that I observed was the insurance agents aren't being supported at the level that they needed to be supported. And so I realized if I wanted to make a difference, I could transform the life of the agent. That would allow the betterment of the client. And that became the whole point of how I got
Wow.
into business. And so I said, if I can coach agents and transform their life, both professionally and personally, I can make a difference. And so the industry had a 1% retention. I think it's still around there. My company over 12 years had 75% retention because we truly focused on taking the individual, understanding the value of human capital, and radically transforming how they do life and setting them free from the bondage of survival mentality. And we did. We made a massive impact to the point where I got a $30 million offer on that company. I got multiple offers outside of that. And at the time, my best friend of 17 years was running the company, the president of the company, that he really wanted to kind of go do his own thing and have his own go at it. So I said, why don't you just take it all? You can have everything. You can have the staff, you can have the IP. I contractually released him. I kept the brand, but that was it all away. And then in that moment, Matt, I said, okay, what's next? And that's how I found Tony Robbins and his platinum partnership. And of course, that leads us to operations with children and ending human
Yeah,
trafficking
absolutely.
and so many other things.
So, okay, you're touching on so many different aspects on who you are right now. Yeah, and you're weaving this story together beautifully, but it comes down to the heart of who you are, that you're seeing people. You're seeing people who
Yes.
are in need, and you can help develop them, or not even develop them. You can help bring out the true essence of who they are, their fullest self. And do you find, because that's a unique gift, not everybody has that. Um, how do you feel like that plays out in your mind as you're talking to people? What's going on as you're perceiving a person differently than they're perceiving themselves?
That's a beautiful question. And thank you for the honor of seeing gift in me. It's amazing. I have a mantra I live by. And the mantra is just truly that everything's always perfect. You know, we go through life and we wonder, how is this happening to me? How is this happening to me? Well,
Mhm.
life's happening to me. And I think Tony says it best. Tony Robbins says it best. Is life happening to you or is it happening for you? And as
Great
I start
question.
to think about that, when I say everything's always perfect, I believe that everyone is doing the absolute best that they can in that moment with the skills, talent, tools, and resources that they have. That includes myself. So if I make a bad move or I make a move that has an unexpected outcome or result, that's the exact perfect result that I was supposed to have because I could not have chosen anything else in that moment. Otherwise, I would have. And so I believe
Hmm.
that everything's always perfect. And so as I look back over the course of my life and I look at the opportunities in HR that I explored, when I look at how I went into insurance fraud investigation and got trained under some of the absolute best in the world on human and behavioral psychology and understanding why people do what they do and the movements, ticks, and the operations and the framework. I think that that was key for setting me up into seeing the best in people and understanding why people do what they do. For me, it's been my entire life has been about understanding people. And when I can look at a person without the framework of judgment, and it's not always easy to do. I'm not perfect because often I judge myself. Don't we judge ourselves the worst?
Mhm.
I find that if I get in a space where I'm judging myself, that's when it's easy to judge other people. So if I can see people without the framework of judgment, which has been my life's goal, and to understand them, why they're doing what they do, to see things that maybe they don't see. Why are they operating on this pattern? Why are they stuck? Because aren't we all stuck in some way? Don't we all get stuck sometimes? And so for me, Matt, that's what it became was passionately helping people just get unstuck because we all have something we want. And the barrier to entry to that is almost always, we don't even know where we're at. And if we don't know where we're at, which is where I invest most of my time with people, how can we ever get to where we want to be? And once we know where we're at, I just simply help them get out of their own way to finding that goal and that outcome.
That is a beautiful entree into the next piece. You've done so much as far as you started multiple nonprofits. I mean, we talked about Uncommon Threads, and that was obviously a very big one that you founded. But you've given money away to many different organizations, notably Tony Robbins, as you've mentioned, and his foundation. But there's so much more that you are set to accomplish right now. And if I can transition into the Acres Club Fund, I think that it's just a beautiful vision.
Well, Matt, thank you. And there's such a fun story with this. I was internally just hurting. I was pouring out so much, and I'd mastered, as Tony says, the science of achievement. It's very easy to go achieve something, but I was failing miserably at the art of fulfillment. And although I'd done so many amazing things, experienced so many incredible experiences, for some reason I was still empty inside. In the middle of all of this wild chaos and adventure, rescuing these children, I'm headed to a meeting. And a good friend of mine brings up two individuals, Carl and Jeff. And they say, you've got to meet Jeff. He's personally funding operations in Africa. I know that's where you guys are operating with this project that you've got going. And his dream is to educate 100,000 children for free. And I said, Jeff, if you don't have a nonprofit, I'll help you launch one, buddy. I got to go to a meeting. I'll be right back. And man, I get about 10 feet away from this guy. And I promise you, it was like the voice of God came upon me and said, turn around and go talk to him right now. And I don't know if you've ever had one of those experiences where you feel like God's talking to you and you yield to it and amazing events transpire because of it. This was that moment for me. I came back to him and I said, Jeff, I'm supposed to talk to you, but I don't know why. And he says, well, I've got 50,000 acres in Zambia. I got for practically a gift. I've served in Zambia for 12 years. What I later found out about Jeff is he'd been there for 12 years, yes, but he's got business in 26 different countries. He's got an education technology company. He brought education to Zambia. His first 2 years there, he made zero profit, but he kept serving. He kept building relationships with the local tribes leaders and chiefs. He kept serving and working with the government to make things possible. Today, his best friends is the president of Zambia. He's very close to all the tribal leaders in that space. And when these billionaires are calling in to try to acquire land because they realize the richest copper vein in Africa is under Zambia, when they're calling in to get this land, the tribal leaders and the tribal chiefs called Jeff first. It's a first right of refusal. I said, Jeff, we're going to build a city. And he looked at me and said, what? I said, we're going to build a city. I said, we're going to build a conscious super city. What if we could bring the children there in orphanages? We can surround them with the tribal leaders and elders so that there's a transference of energy from old to young. And we could bring in the operators who are actually doing the mission work. And we can give them a safe space where they can protect the city and they can see the aftermath, the beautiful aftercare of the children that they've rescued, and they can have a part in that. The healing will be insurmountable, geometric across the board. And so he said, I'm in, let's go. And that's created everything we've done from there.
My word. And this has been a couple of years in the making right now. It's about a year and a half, right? From the initial encounter to this. Yeah.
It's been an amazing ride, an amazing adventure. And it's definitely something that I believe is the purpose, right? We all have to focus on what's our purpose. And I get asked that all the time. Like, what's the purpose of life? Why am I here? For me, man, it's the purpose of life is whoever's sitting across from me. You know, I just want to love them more than anything else in the world and just be able to add value and over deliver. And I think that we've all got two paths that we can focus on. It's either going to be service to self, which is an experience that's absolutely available with no judgment. And then there's service to others. And I believe that the path of service to others has a far greater outcome for those around us and also for ourselves.
What a story. Well, Scott, thank you so much for joining me today and for all that you're doing. Love the vision, love what you have going on, and very, very excited to see where it goes. Wish you all the best and looking forward to next time.